I'm James Rogers, in for Diana Falzone, and this is 4 for 4 Science, where we discuss 4 spellbinding science topics in just 4 minutes. Now, Neil deGrasse Tyson may know astrophysics, but a lot of people are questioning his grasp of biology. Mindy, what's all the fuss about?
Well, last week, Neil deGrasse Tyson tweeted that if there were ever a species for whom sex was painful, it surely would have gone extinct long ago. And if that was meant as a joke, it was a really poor choice for someone who has millions of Twitter followers who look to him for science information. Because as far as biology is concerned, as long as fertilization happens, it doesn't matter if sex is painful. And there are any number of examples across the animal kingdom where sex is painful or even traumatic.
I think no animal proves him wrong more than this mouse-like species called the Antechinus, I think it's called, and it will literally have sex until it passes out from exhaustion or even dies. So it will die trying.
Well, don't underestimate evolution, because it's had a long time to work, and it sometimes comes up with creative solutions, but it gets the job done, which in this case is to propagate the species.
Now, I wonder with this, what if this tweet was sent out there just to spark discussion, which is basically what we're all doing. And, and Claire gave a good example of all the different species that have now suddenly, we're talking about their reproductive habits. Like, would any of us know about this without that tweet? So now, data collected by the Large Hadron Collider in Switzerland may have identified particle activity that doesn't fit the standard laws of physics. Debbie, are we about to enter a new era of physics?
Indeed, James. This is super exciting. Scientists at CERN think that they have found a new particle, which is the big brother of the Higgs boson, which we just discovered in 2012. But and which is 6 times heavier than the Higgs boson itself. But we can't celebrate just yet, because we need to do more research to find out if it was just a fluke.
Yeah, I mean, we live in a 24-hour news cycle, and our information updates from moment to moment. But in terms of the work that's being done with the Large Hadron Collider, where they're looking at matter and the way it behaves at the particle level, the time frame is much, much slower. And as much as physicists say this is an interesting anomaly, it's going to be a couple of years before they really know what it is.
Yeah, I think one of the scientists gave a really good analogy to like a movie where before we had just a couple of scenes and now we have this like full-blown trailer, but we don't have the whole movie yet. We don't have the whole picture. So until we have that picture, I think it's really hard to tell.
And I like the idea that the movie that we're talking about here, it could potentially be a really big blockbuster, couldn't it? So super, super exciting. Could stem cells help treat people with cataracts and even some who are blind? Mindy, tell us about this exciting research.
This is a really promising new development for treating cataracts. So what scientists did was they removed cataracts, congenital cataracts, in a group of infants all under the age of 2, but they made sure to preserve these special stem cells in the eyes that are typically damaged or destroyed during the regular procedures for repairing cataracts, which usually involve implants or donor tissue. And what happened was that these stem cells actually regrew the lenses in the baby's eyes. So this could be a game changer for the way that cataracts are treated.
Wow. The amazing thing about these stem cells is that they adopt a different density depending on their location within the lens. So if they're out on the outer edge versus the center of the lens, they focus the light effectively so that babies can see.
Standard.
I think this is a really good thing also just for stem cell research in general. I mean, they used endogenous stem cells, which are stem cells that don't need to be grown in a lab, and we don't have to worry about like an immune response or infection. So I think it's a big stepping stone for using stem cells for other organs as well.
And it's worth bearing in mind as well that this is kind of at the very, very much the start of this research, isn't it? And there's going to need a lot more clinical trials, a lot more studies to make us move forward. Why is Buzz disappearing from Honey Nut Cheerios boxes? Claire, please explain.
So Buzz, the iconic bee on Honey Nut Cheerio boxes, has now disappeared, and this is for a campaign called Bring Back the Bees, and it's in Canada. And basically the idea is for Canadians to plant 35 million wildflowers, which will help bring back the bee populations.
I think it's amazing that bees disappearing reminds us of how different parts of nature are interconnected. So if something happens in one area, you can be pretty sure that down the line, something else is going to happen elsewhere.
Now, what I think is so wonderful about this campaign is that not only is it drawing attention to the fact that pollinators are disappearing, which is happening not just in North America, but all around the world, but part of this initiative is that they're giving away these millions and millions of wildflower seeds to try and revive the pollinators' habitats. So they're not just saying, here's a problem, but they're actually giving people something they can do about it, which is great.
And I love the idea that the corporation is behind this, kind of using their profile to make this issue so much bigger and make more people aware of it. So now you know what we think. Tell us what you think using the hashtag 4for4Science, and we will see you next week.